Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and then I'd be able to deliver videos like this to your inbox as soon as tomorrow morning. If you enjoy our watches, you can buy this one and 1,700 of its vintage and late model luxury pre-owned friends on thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches on thewatchbox.com. If you wear this watch, well, if I were in the world and you wore this watch, you would get free admission to the World of Coke in Atlanta, Georgia, because this is the currently dormant Rolex GMT Coke Bezel, and this is the discontinued Rolex 16710 GMT-Master II. The watch you're looking at is a 1997 serial number U, and it's wearing a Z code matching 1997 Rolex bracelet reference 78790 with 501B end links. What you can see, without knowing any of that, is that this is a traditional pre-super case GMT. It's not a GMT-C, meaning it's 40 millimeters, not including crown or crown guards, and it actually wears 40. It's reasonably slim, all things considered. The watch is only 12 millimeters thick. You can slide it underneath any tight sleeve or dress cuff. From lug to lug, this is a compact watch, 47.6 millimeters. I endorse this watch for wrists as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. The bracelet is in very good condition. As you can see, it is a traditional Rolex Oyster, and the 78790 is a GMT style Oyster, meaning you're not going to have a Rolex flip-lock style clasp, but you do have the same Rolex Oyster clasp body that you would have gotten on a sub, with many independent micrometric adjustments for when you're using your strap tool. Of course, we are in the pre-solid end link, pre-solid center link era, so vintage fans, this is still wearable as a modern watch with 100-meter water resistance, but it has that classical Rolex rattle about its bracelet. So it's a little bit of a fusion between the new and the old, the new being a modern 3185 caliber sapphire crystal, 100-meter water resistance, and then the old being the feel of a Rolex bracelet that, eyes closed, could have been made any point from the 1950s to the mid-2000s. It's in excellent condition with very little stretch. The clasp is sharply defined with all of those original reference as well as year codes still blazing on the inside for me to read to you. As ever, Rolex knew what a good bracelet was back then, just as it does today, and ergonomics have always come to the fore with Rolex bracelets. Big channels between links to avoid pinching skin, pulling hair, or trapping heat and moisture. We're pre-super case. Now you can see this one's been refinished a little bit. It doesn't quite have the lug bevels, but it has a lot of metal remaining. You can see from side to side the lugs are even, and you can also see that there is no spring bar protrusion from the case itself. The spring bars are still inside of the apertures of the strap holes. Now, looking at the bezel, you can see that it is in outstanding condition. The namesake of this watch, Coca-Cola, of course, being a little bit of an informal handle, first bestowed upon the first of the GMT-Master IIs, the 16760. That was the birth of the Coke bezel, and the Coke bezel has been discontinued in the Rolex GMT line since the advent of the steel Rolex GMT-C, but you can still bring it back by buying an older watch, and it's still just as functional today as it was in 1997 when this watch was made. You set the 24-hour hand to Greenwich Mean Time, you line up the index, and of course then you use the offset from the port of destination or airport of destination, the local GMT offset, so you can temporarily read 3 time zones. The dial on this one, original tritium, 1996, 1997, that was the end of the full model year Rolex tritium dials. In 1998, there was a sort of transitional year where early watches featured tritium dials, and the watches made in the later half of that year featured luminova dials. This one from 1997 is an original tritium dial. Now you'll also note it's glossy, it's gleaming, it's in outstanding condition. There's no tarnish, there's no damage, there's no oxidation, and all of the indices as well as the hands at center are crystal clear and clean. Cyclops eye magnifier present and correct, and you'll note that the case band features the original definition and full body about its crown guards. Inside, caliber 3185, a true dual time. I should demonstrate some of these functions of the watch. The 3185, and this is a GMT Master II, featuring a true dual time zone. That's how you can temporarily read 3 using the bezel. Pull the crown out to extremity. Now you have hacking or stop seconds. Caliber 3185, automatic winding, 48-hour power reserve. full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock resistance, Breguet overcoil hairspring for resistance to positional or gravitationally induced timing deviation, and of course Teflon coated reversing wheels for extremely smooth winding, that and the jeweled staff for the rotor. 100 meters water resistant. It's not a dive watch, but it's solidly sound if you do plan to get a little bit wet while wearing your pilot's watch. From Rolex, let's call this one a Rolex for seaplane pilots. This is old school. It's a different feel because of the bracelet. It's a different look because of the case profile. And it's even a different coloration because of the bezel. But as emerging vintage, it's nice that this watch is still everyday wearable, even when recently serviced, swimmable. No compromise, and yet 2 decades plus now, these are beginning to enter the frame of the vintage collector's purview. Get ahead of the curve and own this one on the Watchbox. And we are back with the 16710. As you can see, the brief shock from my spotlights has slightly animated the tritium, but that's actually the lume attached to the tritium. You can see that the dial base itself is all original tritium, and the hands themselves are replacement Luminova Rolex service units from later on. The tritium glow quickly fades, but the nice thing about having the Luminova hands is that they make the watch readable at night. So you get a little bit of the best of both worlds with the tritium fade during the day for a handsome color tone, and then you get the visibility of the Luminova hands by night for functionality. See it? Decide for yourself on our website.